Hello, everybody, and welcome to At the End of the Day. At the End of the Day is a weekly show discussing and debating all aspects of D. Malay and the Masonic family. Tune in here every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. to watch. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the speaker and are in no way endorsed by any of our Masonic youth organizations. This show's purpose is to help spread ideas for membership growth and retention while debating controversial subjects. We'd like to begin by welcoming our new guest, Caitlin Washington, the past Miss International Job's Daughters. So thank you for coming in, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great to start off with a hard question. I'm Caitlin Washington. I'm a pastor and queen and majority member of Bethel number 43 in Missouri, and I just gave up the title of Miss International on Thursday to the wonderful Miss Sarah Leeper from Nebraska. So.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for joining us. Tonight we want to talk about where the Masonic youth is headed, where the whole Masonic family is headed in the future. Of course, nobody has a definite answer because it's all predictions, but we can take what we've seen and learned through our time in our organizations and try and figure out what we need to do to better the future of our organizations. Caitlin, are you still an active member?
Technically, no, I'm not. I'm a majority member now, as of Thursday.
Okay. I know I am as well. David and James, would you like to tell us who you are?
Yeah, I'm a majority member now. When I went out as state master counselor like 4 weeks ago is when I went. Now I'm a advisor for North Carolina. I'm the knighthood director up there.
I'm still active. I'm 18.
He's the baby. All right, so let's get started by talking about the Jobie session that just happened. Caitlin, can you tell us where it was, what it was, and why it's important for all the Masonic youth?
So last week was our Supreme session, which is our international session. This year it was held in Chicago, or right outside in Lombard, Illinois. And we have people from all 5 countries come to visit, and that includes the United States, Canada, Australia, the Philippines, and Brazil. And what we do there is we have different competitions during the week. So we had performing arts, arts and crafts. We also had our ritual competitions. We also had the drawings, which is where we draw names of different girls who have put their name in for different offices of the Supreme Bethel. So that also includes our Supreme Bethel Honored Queen, and she did a test and a ritual part in order to be put into the draw. And that will be Miss Maddie Iroz from Reno, Nevada. We have our Miss International competition during the week. We discuss amendments that are pertinent to the adults at our Jobie Congress, and that was on Tuesday night. And then our opinions go to the adults, who then vote on them. And then we also have our Supreme Bethel, where we do things such as our majority degree. We also do awards such as the degree of Royal Purple for outstanding service from an adult. We have installations, pageant, and then the adult aspect of it, where they vote on amendments, elect new officers who will join the line for the coming years, and we also have presentations on where the next Supreme Sessions will be held.
That's a lot. I mean, it seems very similar to the way, well, the structure of international is similar to like the structure of every jurisdiction. Is that right? Because I know Virginia does the whole like put it in a hat thing, but you also have to like.
It depends on every jurisdiction, because every jurisdiction, if they have a grand, which is the state level, can run itself differently. Like in Missouri, we elect. We do not draw out of a hat until below our line, which is our top 3 positions, which is our Grand Bethel Junior Princess, Grand Bethel Senior Princess, and Grand Bethel Honored Queen, which is much like the Master Counselor, Senior Counselor, and Junior Counselor for D. Malay. But each and every jurisdiction is different. But the Supreme Bethel is just a drawing. And for being similar to the International Congress, it's similar, but at the same time we don't send representatives from each jurisdiction, as many people that want to come are eligible to come. We had 1,200 people at this session at least. So it's just whoever is able to make it.
That's a really cool thing. It'd be nice to see a lot more of the active members from just around the country come out to that. Now I have a question for you. The call item where it got rid of having the Masonic sponsor. That's one of the things we've been talking about and hearing a lot about. Can you tell us a bit about that call item?
Yes, it's amendment number 10. It doesn't actually get rid of the Masonic relationship. It just adds on a Part B to that section of our bylaws. So before it said to be eligible for membership, a young lady has to be related by blood, marriage, or law to a Master Mason. And now we added on, after exhaustive search, if no relationship can be found, then the young lady may join with a sponsorship from both a majority member and a Master Mason who is not our Associate Bethel Guardian, which is the biggest advisor of a Bethel level for a male. We have the Bethel Guardian and Associate Bethel Guardian. It will help membership in the way that I know South Dakota has issues with membership. They've already had someone came up to me from South Dakota and said that they're hoping that this will help membership because some of them have been turned away. If they're from the Asian countries, most Asian countries don't have a majority of Masonry as relationships. So if we've had young ladies move from China, we cannot have them join until now. It will also open us up to U.S. grants for money. Before, we were an exclusive membership that discriminates, and now we are open. So we'll be allowed to have money donations, and we'll also be able to have the opportunity to advertise in schools, which we were not allowed to do before because of our discriminatory status.
David or James Christopher, do you have any questions for her about that right off the bat? If not, I do.
I
can think of a question right away, but I like to say that I like the idea of that. I believe it'll really help the membership, and I believe they definitely made a step forward in progress.
Okay. I have a question that actually came in, and it says, how are you going to market yourselves different from Rainbow? Because now you're kind of similar on the same page with membership. I mean, you still have the Masonic sponsor, but is that going to change at all how you guys market yourselves or anything?
I think the biggest thing that everyone needs to remember is that while we are related through the Masonic fraternity and through the Masonic family, one of the biggest arguments is that we'd be just like Rainbow. And we're not. Rainbow is its own separate organization that teaches pretty similar things. All of the Masonic youth groups teach very similar things, but through different ways. And I think that we won't really change the way that we advertise. It'll just be to everyone instead of saying, oh, well, you have to be related to a Mason. Now we can say we are hoping that you are related to a Mason in some way, and we'll search to see if you have one in your family. But if not, we'll find a Master Mason who would like to sponsor you and a majority member. And that way you can still have the heritage that we do, but in the same way you are able to join without a blood, marriage, or law relationship. And for us, Rainbow and Job's Daughters are very close in some jurisdictions, and in others they're not. And I know in Missouri we have a whole Bethel that's also Rainbow as well as Job's Daughters, and all of them say that each and every organization that they're a part of teaches similar things, but at the same time they gain so many different things from them. And we still teach through the book of Job in the Bible, or any of the Old Testaments, and we teach the things that may not be in other organizations. We teach perseverance. We teach through the idea that no matter what's going on in your life, as long as you are patient, you have faith, you will always be able to be rewarded in the end. You'll always be able to come out in the end a stronger person and a person with stronger ideals and a success. And you don't get that in any other organization.
Are there going to be any changes to like ritual or anything like that? Because I mean, I'm a master mason, so I've seen Job's Daughter stuff, but of course you can't say the ritual right now. But are there going to be any changes that come from this, or?
There shouldn't be, only because of the fact that everything except for our bylaws is very vague on what relationship means. So, like, someone had asked me if it will change our landmarks, but it just says a relationship to a Master Mason. And for some, that can mean a sponsorship. And it just is not vague, or it's very vague and everywhere but our bylaws that specifically states by blood, marriage, or law to a Master Mason majority member, adult of another Masonic body, etc. And for our ritual, the only thing that it would change is if it were to say by blood, marriage, or law, which it doesn't. So it shouldn't change anything.
One thing you said earlier, which I've heard many times, is that taking that out kind of gets it away from discriminating against people and being exclusive. But I want to go to David. Do you think being exclusive as these organizations, do you think that's a bad thing? And do you think it is discriminating against people, or it's not discriminating, it's just being exclusive? And is that a bad thing?
Really, it can be a mix, really. It just matters on where you're at. I'm going to use Freemasonry as an example. Derek, you'll know where I'm coming from on this. In some jurisdictions, Freemasonry really is a universal brotherhood with no religious entity or anything, and everyone's accepted. You do have certain jurisdictions, though, that have made it, let's say, a Christian form of Masonry. They pretty much only expect people that are Christians to join. So really, whether or not exclusive becomes discriminatory or not really matters on how the jurisdiction and how the chapters and lodges or whatever act to make it, whether or not it's actually exclusive or it's discrimination. I believe being part of an exclusive order is a great idea. I'm a member of the Blue Lodge and I'm a member of Eastern Star. There's really a difference, and really the important thing is you have to learn where the difference is between the different organizations. While yes, Masonry is tailored just for men, you have Eastern Star, which is tailored for men and women. So it all comes down to, in the end, Job's Daughters is tailored for young women generally until recently, just that were related to the Masonic fraternity through a member. And then you had Rainbow, which was more of the aspect of not, but allowing for it still to grow for women that were also related to Mason. In the state of Tennessee, we don't have Job's Daughters. They tried it years ago. From what I understand, it didn't really pan out in our state. But from what I understand, there's many jurisdictions that are able to survive with both. You have one jurisdiction that's strong in Rainbow, but not in Job's Daughters, and then you turn around and let's say Virginia is probably stronger in Job's than they are Rainbow. I mean, it just matters where you're at, and I guess geography plays a big part.
You see that a lot in Virginia, where it's not like one is more than the other, but it depends on where in Virginia it is. I'd say down by the beach, Rainbow is a lot bigger, like in Hampton, Virginia, and everything. There's a few assemblies down there, but then you go up here, and there's like one that started last year, and then one other one, and you don't really see them. But Job's Daughters is really big around this area. Now, James Christopher, do you believe that Job's Daughters and Rainbows can coexist and share like their marketing strategies or do anything to kind of get them working together like sisters? And because like we try to work with them as sisters and brothers, we don't do it enough. But do you think they can work together as sisters from an outside perspective?
It's gonna go largely just place by place. It all depends on which people are willing to share and play nice, in my opinion. Because in New Mexico, Jobs and Rainbows don't necessarily have a great relationship. There are only 10 Job's Daughters in New Mexico, but there's not always the best relationship between the two groups, so it's going to be a bit harder for them to work together than, say, in other jurisdictions where they have close relationships.
Mm-hmm. So going back to Caitlin, what do you think about that? Because I mean, to some people it kind of seems like rivals. But is there a way for you guys to supplement each other and help each other grow?
I think the biggest thing is that we just need to realize that we are a Masonic family, that we are sisters and brothers with the DMLA, and I think we just really need to remember that and realize that, yes, there are two organizations for young women, but they teach different things, they teach through different methods, and you can become both too. I think that's one of the biggest things. And technically, there is another one that's triangles in New York, and the Masonic family should be able to support one another. We have a Masonic Youth Day where we all get together, and I think that's helped a lot. I think just trying to really mend relations. I think part of it's the past, and sometimes we get stuck in it, and we don't realize that we can go forward. And for us, it's just a matter of realizing we have two different organizations. They're both Masonic family now. Um, Now we are going forward with different ideals, but now we also have a sponsorship. We can actually learn from the rainbow. How do you keep your sponsors around? Do your sponsors have different things that they have to do to become sponsors? Because a lot of our jurisdictions are now looking at creating tighter bylaws on what sponsorship means. And I think if we work together as a Masonic family, we can go forward without the rivalry and as a closer and tighter bond.
I think that's really good because we need to act more like a family. All of our organizations together, and Masonry has too many organizations within it to count, but we do need to focus on that family aspect. Speaking of that, James, why don't we have a ceremony that includes the girls and the boys, and doesn't matter which organization, that is vague when it comes to that we can do together?
I would love to see something like that done from any of the youth groups. I've seen something like that from one of my advisors. He did something that they've done in Arkansas before. It was some sort of ribbon ceremony. It talks about all the Masonic families and gives a brief description of each and tells about their virtues and says some nice words. But I've never seen something like that done from a youth perspective. I'd love to see something like that created by any of our groups.
Well, I actually have been writing one, which is why that question came to mind, because I wrote one that's, yeah, of course. And I'm going to be performing it in about a month, so hopefully it turns out well. If it does, I'll put it up. If it doesn't, then you won't ever hear me talk about it again. Now, going to David, where do you think Masonic Youth is headed? Where do you, in each organization in particular, and then in general, where do you think it's headed?
Well, I can really speak mainly from the aspect of how I see it from being from Tennessee. I can tell you how I see it from Tennessee, and I'll tell you a little bit how from when we served as international officers together, Derek. Well, first off, Job's Daughters, I believe. Well, first off, all of our memberships, all three organizations, from what I understand, all of us have had a major decline in membership. Really not sure if it's the way we promote, the way we organize it, or just the way society's changed. But I believe for Job's Daughters, a lot of this is going to help and improve membership for them. I think they're going to have they're going to go through the aspect where I believe some rainbows are going to believe, some rainbow areas are going to believe, they're starting to invade our territory. They're starting to take our girls. I think they're going to have to, the rainbows and Jobs are going to have to work it out. As we've all been saying all night, you have to work all the organizations together. If we don't work together, we're going to die together, essentially. DMLA, I believe if DMLA doesn't change for the next couple of years, if we don't come up with some great plan on how to change things, I believe we will die out. Within my region, I've seen where several jurisdictions have pretty much died out. I served as an officer for one of them. For one of the jurisdictions, it's pretty much died out, and I'm hoping we change and fix that. North Carolina, I'm really proud of the DMLA there. When I started office, they were just regrowing. Derek, you can attest, you worked with them too. They were pretty much dead 3-4 years ago, and under the leadership of Brother Williard, they really have grown, and they've reached higher membership than Tennessee DMLA has, and it's a great Rainbow in Tennessee for sure. I don't know much about international for Rainbow, but in Tennessee we've grown dramatically in Rainbow. The Rainbow's getting bigger. It's become a lot bigger in DMLA, and when I joined, DMLA was a lot bigger in Rainbow. So I believe if we can somehow come up with a way to develop and make the organizations interact, perhaps both organizations will strive. But if we don't change soon, I don't see there are going to be too many more states left in the southern region.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we've definitely declined as a Masonic family and as DMLA. We had membership of millions, and now we only have about 15,000 in America, and that's really sad for DMLA. But Caitlin, what do you think? Where is Job's Daughters headed in the future?
Well, I wish we had 15,000 in America. We only have 5,000 in America. But for us, the biggest places that we are growing membership is where the Masonic family is really working together, and that includes Brazil and the Philippines. Brazil overpassed the United States in membership last year. They have over 5,300 girls, and they only started in the 1990s, where Job's Daughter started in 1920. So they are growing exponentially. Also, they're looking, Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil, is looking at expanding into Paraguay because they have a free border, and they already have a Bethel that's mostly made out of people from Paraguay. And they're hoping to expand into that, but that will include changing our ritual into a translation again for Spanish instead of Portuguese. So that's something that we have to look at. We're hoping that this will help expand our membership. We also just are talking about an e-ritual that came up this year. So we're trying to go forward into modern technology a little more. And I know with the DMLA app that will help DMLA as well. But we're looking at expanding. We're looking at retention, especially for our membership, and hopefully we're able to take ideas from Brazil and the Philippines on how to really be a strong family. The Philippines, I've never seen anything like it. They are the strongest Masonic family that I've ever seen. If you need anything and you're in a Masonic youth group, the Masons are there within a second, and they'll do anything for you, and it's like that across the board there. And I think if we can take some things from them and learn from them and how they work and how they function and how they truly make it a family between all of the organizations, we'll be able to expand and we'll be able to advertise differently and hopefully gain more membership.
What was the name you said? I'm thinking it was in Portuguese. Could have been in Spanish.
Of the country? Like the state in Brazil?
What did you say?
Oh, Mato Grosso do Sul. It's
What
a
does that
state
mean?
in Brazil.
I'm not even going to try and say that. If it was German, I might, but no.
Yeah, no, unfortunately we don't have Europe, so I'm much better on the Portuguese, Spanish side. So
we have Europe. We have the Philippines and Brazil. Actually, the most common language spoken in a DMLA chapter is Portuguese because of Brazil, which is it definitely changed. I think it changed a while back, but it is amazing to see how strong it is there and how much it's grown. We've actually taken ideas from them and put them back into America, and I've been blessed to have an opportunity to spend time with some different DMLA from South America who came up for study abroad programs in Washington, D.C., and to hear about the differences is really cool, but we are still all the same, and it is really important to take what's working and put that in other places. It might not always work because the different demographics, but it's worth a shot because if not, then we're going to die, as David said. James, what do you think about that? I mean, I know the numbers are pretty low in your area. So would you like to tell us where you think it's headed?
Definitely towards all those growing regions in South America and Europe. That's where DMLA is the strongest and where it's building the most momentum. We need to take what they're using that works, and we need to really implement that here. I'm not sure entirely what makes their membership so much more quickly growing, but we need to find out what that is and instill that into our members and anybody who we come into contact with.
Caitlin, you guys have a Jobie to be program, which is similar to Squires for DMLA, and we don't have Squires everywhere. Do you have Jobie to be in every jurisdiction, and can you tell us about that?
Not every jurisdiction has it. It's really up to the jurisdiction on if they choose to implement it. And each place that does have Jobies to be runs it a little differently because we don't have bylaws on Jobies to be. Some places actually hold meetings for their Jobies to be where they run business and they're able to do things that help them to grow into joining Job's Daughters. Down in Brazil, they make the most beautiful little dresses for their Jobies to be, and I think one Bethel alone had 14 Jobies to be in one Bethel, but they also have about 50 members in one Bethel. So each place runs differently. I think for us it's about 8 up to the age of 10. Some places go down to 7, and they are able to have all of the fun that Job's Daughters has. They just don't come into our meetings. But some of them, again, do have meetings of their own, like Squires do, but it just depends on the jurisdiction.
How has that program impacted your organization? Because we see it impact ours with Squires, and we don't have that in Virginia, but I wish we did. But it seems to help in the jurisdictions where they have it. Does it work for you guys?
I think it instills a love of the organization early before other like sports and other organizations kind of take control before all of those other organizations have more of an effect on them. And they already love Job's Daughters by that point, so they are kind of hooked in it for the rest of their time. And it also helps them in order to really see what the organization is about before just jumping into membership. And some places actually have Jobie to be as their prospects too. So if they aren't sure about the organization, they can technically be a Jobie to be because they're a prospective member, and that way they can come to the fun events, come to our meetings, and have refreshments, just not come inside the meetings. And I think it's helped truly gotten that connection and that love of the order a little earlier.
You said you guys don't have bylaws for it. Do you think implementing bylaws like DMLA International did for Squires and like an official plan, do you think that would help or kind of hinder your work with the Jobie to be?
I think it would actually hinder it because under Supreme law, you have to kind of follow what Supreme says up to a certain point unless you have Grand. Grand can make it more specific, but it can't outwardly contradict the Supreme bylaws. And for each and every jurisdiction, their Job's Daughters to Be's programs are different. And if you make certain stipulations on it, that could hurt their Jobie to Be program instead of help it. And I think with each jurisdiction having their own traditions and their own ways of running their Job's Daughter to Be programs, that allows them to have flexibility in what they need and what they see as the best way to run it and how they can truly bring in those Job's Daughter to Be's. Because if they have certain ways of promoting that program, if we put in bylaws, we may be completely wiping out the way that they promote.
James, how do you work with the girls' organizations and the Masonic family in general, so the Masons, OES? How do you work together cohesively as a family?
Well, everything we do is always open invitation. We make several attempts to get into contact with other groups and say, hey, we're doing this. We'd love for you to come out and just spend the day with us with whatever we're doing. It could be a meeting. It could be a car bash fundraiser. It's really, I mean, we make them join events. It's all about embracing the togetherness of the three groups. Even if the invitation is not accepted, we still...
David, what about you? Where do you, have you seen it really strong in a certain area? And if so, what do they do there that really combines all the organizations together?
That's a great question. Really, there's really not much here in this area that we do. The closest we get is probably the Demolays present the flags at Grand Assembly. You have the standard. Both parties go to the dances. The girls come to the Demolay dance. You may have a couple little things here and there during the year. I'll attend a regular installation service, but really, other than that, I would love to see Masonic Youth Day. I'd love to see them actually intermingling. I tried to this last year. I tried doing an SMC Grand Worthy Advisor reception, and that didn't go over so well. It's really in this area you have a hard time with getting intermingling, other than the basic show up to an event that they're both at or dance with them. Other than that, we really don't have too much intermingling.
We for the Masonic Youth, we used to have something called Masonic Youth Day, which is now called Masonic Family Day to incorporate everybody, and that works pretty well. We go to the Masonic home in Richmond, Virginia, the capital, which is very centrally located. We have a parade, we have games and stuff, and we're trying to build that up more, especially on the Demolay side, with like little competitions, flag football, whatever, to try and get more of the youth out there, because in my opinion, I think a lot of people agree with me, is the way to get new members is the retention of older members, or members in general. Because if those members are having a great time, they're going to want to share that with other people. We just had a kid who came in to my chapter who, his father is an advisor from Missouri, and they moved here, and he was really excited about Conclave. Sadly, he joined 2 days before we were leaving for Conclave. But just hearing about how much fun it was going to be and how everybody was excited about it made him really excited and helped make him want to join. Now, for the Masonic Youth, we have dances called MCHQWA. And for that, it is the Master Counselor, Honor Queen, Worthy Advisor, in that order, dance. And every Master Counselor, every Honor Queen, every Worthy Advisor gets introduced, and they get escorted into the room. And it's really cool for them because they don't have like a state title, but here they are getting introduced and formally escorted. And it's really cool for them to like kind of flaunt that in front of their friends or whatnot. But we had the big banner that had, well, we had a photo booth, but we're going to have a big banner that has all the youth organizations on it to take selfies in front of, to try and get it a little bit more modern and make it like a prom for them, which hopefully will be a good thing. But we've seen an increase in turnout at our dances. Every Demolay dance, every Job's Daughter dance, every Rainbow dance, it's got a good mix of guys and girls, which is great. We had a Grand Assembly dance where my chapter DJ'd for it. They had the Demolay do it, which was a good thing because that got more Demolay there. I think it's the small things that will help the organizations work together. I think it's just doing the simple chapter, Bethel, assembly that are close working together will help improve it at the state level, but I think the state level of every jurisdiction needs to work harder at doing it. I mean, if we did a simple, for Virginia or any coastal or any state, you do a beach trip where you can go out and have like a volleyball tournament with the girls, the boys, etc. I think it'd be really good. But it's something that needs to be worked on across the board. And Caitlin, do you have any ideas of how we can improve upon that?
Here in Missouri, we have quite a few things that are all Masonic Youth events. We have Masonic Youth softball tournament in the fall that I have not yet been able to do because they always plan it during Supreme Session when I'm gone. So I'm hoping to be able to do that in the future. And it always looks like a lot of fun. Like they are all intermingled, they're all bonding, and they're having a great time all at the same time, even if someone is absolutely horrible at softball. They always seem to have so much fun. We also have that Masonic Youth Day. They're split up into different teams of all of the youth. They have a shaving cream war. They have dunk tanks where the state officers and the Grand Master himself this last year got in the dunk tank, and everyone can attempt to dunk them. And there's games and prizes, and we also have a dance. It's the state officer dance, and so all of the state officers from all of 3 organizations come, get introduced, and they have a dance. We try really hard at the Bethel and individual levels as well, the assembly, the chapter levels. I think the biggest thing that I've seen that's helped is for the girls, we have Bethel Bow programs in certain Bethels. It's very much like the Sweetheart program, but opposite. So the boys can come and they can run for Bethel Bow. And Illinois actually has had a state Bethel Bow in past years. They don't this year, unfortunately, but they have had a state Bethel Bow just like they would have a state Sweetheart. And I think those programs help with bringing them all together and showing that, you know, hey, I'm here for you. And I can bring my friends along with me. So I think just little things like that. We also had a Masonic Youth at Six Flags Day this year, and before the Six Flags, they each did a exemplification. So they had an exemplification from DeMolay, we had an exemplification of Drip's Daughters, and an exemplification for Rainbow. And so they brought their prospective members. The prospective members got to see what each of the organizations is about, and I think each of the organizations got to learn about each other. And then they got to go to Six Flags, ride roller coasters, and have a lot of fun. So I think just mixing those little things and really trying to show your support for one another will just help.
I think a really good thing, which I've mentioned before, on the planning aspect, is the Facebook group chats. Or if you have people who aren't on Facebook, just a text message chat or whatever, where if you had one that was all the master counselors, honor queens, and worthy advisors in a certain area working together, you can do it without all the red tape. You don't have to go say, to go to your advisor and say, I think we should do this. Can I get your approval on talking to this person? Can you get whatever? Just get rid of the red tape and just focus on getting something done, because nothing really gets done. People always talk about getting things done, and they just keep talking. Nothing happens. If you just bypass the red tape by talking to if you're the master counselor, talk to an honor queen, say, hey, let's plan this event together. It's an idea. Do you have any ideas? Plan it, have it finished, then say to your chapter dad or Bethel guardian, we want to do this. We're going to do this. How can you help us do this? Because advisors are there to help, not to tell you what to do and what not to do, but to help you do things. So just please, to every youth watching this, get rid of the red tape. David and James, do you guys have anything you'd like to ask her?
No, I mean, it's amazing to just have her here and talking with us and doing things we normally do. But it's nice to hear different perspectives.
I really don't have any real question. I'm glad I asked Eric if we could do this. It's been interesting. I've actually learned a little bit about Job's Daughters. Maybe we can get something started in the state of Tennessee and maybe use that to help promote and build all 3 organizations. And by the way, I'm sort of jealous. I wish I had been a Bethel Bow.
I was a Bethel Bow for Bethel 1 in Arlington, Virginia. It was pretty cool. I didn't really do much with it, which I regret, but I was a newer member and was focused on becoming MC and everything. But Caitlin, do you have anything you'd like to say before we finish the show?
I think for me, it's just been amazing to see all of them, all of the youth groups work together this last year especially. As a past Associate State Sweetheart, that definitely helped me be able to talk to the DeMolay wherever I went. And anywhere that I went that there were DeMolay, I actually felt more at home because of the strong connections that I was able to grow with them. And I hope that in the coming future that all 3 youth organizations can grow stronger together and really promote each other in a way, build each other up, and really make this a family. And I just thank you for inviting me.
Well, first I'd like to thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate you being here. it was David's idea that we have somebody on, and you were the first person I asked, and thank you for accepting that and not having a panic attack, because I know you were worried about that. But you are a great Job's daughter, a great representative of the Masonic family. We've been talking for quite a while, and I know a lot of people were really impressed with your term, and congratulations on that. To end the show, word of the day, family. Family is very important, family at home and family in the Masonic world. We need to unite together as a family and act like a family, because we don't act like a family. We act like rivals. We act like we use the same building, but we don't connect, and we need to connect. So work in your chapters to connect with the sponsoring lodge and all the bodies that use it. Have an event where everybody comes out for a barbecue together or some competition. Come up with an idea for a competition that every organization that uses that building can work towards or compete in. And be mindful of the old people. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching, and thank you, Caitlin, for being on, and James and David. So thank you.